Welcome back to HGC EU week number 9. My name is Lauren, filling in for Trixler. Having a lot of fun casting with you, Calder.
Yeah, first series, a quick one though. Monkey is not really being able to hold a candle to Team Liquid.
Not too many would be surprised by that turnout, but the next matchup is going to be very interesting. Let's take a look at the standings because a lot is on the line going into the rest of week number 9 and in the number 10. Team Dignitas running things in top with no losses. But that Team Liquid, they need another match if they want to secure that second spot.
Exactly. So Liquid still goes up against Fnatic, and they go up against the Method. The match against Fnatic is tomorrow. The match against Method next week. If Team Liquid wins one out of the two, they're pretty much secured. They are secured for BlizzCon. If they lose both, though, we are finding ourselves all of a sudden in a very interesting area where map score is going to become very important for the number 2 slot.
One match away from securing their spot, but speaking of spots, another team that needs to show up big is going to be Roll20 Esports as they face the Leftovers. This is a team that's trying to avoid the Crucible, so this match is very important for them. Over in NA, it's going to be Simplicity taking on Team Freedom, and finally to round things out for the evening, No Tomorrow will be facing the mixed bag that has been endemic.
Yeah. For Roll20, it's an interesting spot to be in because this is a match that most people expect them to lose, and they can lose it. The important one is next week when they go up against the Monkey Menagerie, and that is going to be the one that is really incredibly important to them. At the same time, though, if they actually defeat Leftovers, then they have more or less already moved out of the Crucible, and Granite Gaming is going to be looking at that as like, we don't really like that too much. So there's a couple of interplays that can happen still, even if Roll20 wins today, but that would be an insane victory. And they're confident. I mean, Quacknix just tweeted out, we're going to get our 3rd win in a row. They definitely have they have a bit of momentum right now. 2 wins in a row is great for them. They're looking good. They're feeling good. So at this point, you got to cheer for Roll20 at that part. But still torn on them. They had a couple of maps where Quacknix also immediately acknowledged, yeah, that game we just didn't play well. And the first game that comes to mind when they played against Granite Gaming on Tomb of the Spider Queen, that was just a disaster on all fronts. So they won the series very well towards the later end, but that stuff like that can't happen too many times because they're going to get punished. But still, like, can the Leftovers win today and keep themselves in play for a potential number 2 slot?
We're about to find out. Roll20 has a ton of confidence going into this week. Let's hear what both teams had to say about this matchup.
So Roll20 right now seems a lot stronger than they were in the first split, but still it seems that they make mistakes from the Granite game, but they could be a scary opponent for us since they have been improving drastically in these few weeks. So the key player in Roll20, I would say, is Chris. A lot of times when he starts popping off on his ranged carries, he can really do plays for his team and like carry the team, so we will have to take care of him a bit.
Going up against Leftovers is pretty hard. They're playing pretty decent lately. The best player in their team is most likely Kidney, at least in my opinion. He seemed really good when Leftovers first came into HGC, and he kind of was the leader and felt like he has always control over the game when he's playing. But we just want to try to take some map wins. In the end we can also win against them, but going into the matchup they're obviously the favorites.
I like that the Leftovers said that they've noticed Roll20 Esports' improvement because over the course of the entire year, Caldor, I feel like sure going to be the Leftovers.
What's better than Haloran? Double Haloran. Not quite sure if that arrived at your guys' end, but for us, that was an interesting experience a second ago.
Psychedelic.
Yeah, the improvement is definitely there. And this is actually a really interesting situation that we're in now, because this is something that Trickster and I talked about since the beginning, that one of the biggest problems for Roll20 was simply that they are looking at a start into Phase 2, where Quacknix is still with Fnatic, so he's at the mid-season brawl, he comes back, they don't have a lot of time to practice together, they have to coordinate. He's a very different shot caller from ADRD, who was previously with the team. And all of a sudden, they go up against direct competition in the first 2 weekends against 3 of them, and they lose every single one of those. So from that point on, they finish part 1 of Phase 2 only going up against heavy hitters and lose every single match there too, even though they finally found the rhythm, but the opponent is just too strong. Then part 2 of phase 2 starts, and again, they only go up against heavy hitters, so they just get slapped around every single weekend, and people only look at the score and say, like, these guys can't even win a single match. Like, what the hell is this? So now that they finally go up against play or teams that are on the same level in terms of experience as a 5-man and direct competition, they start winning their series. They win 2. Now they go up against another opponent that, in theory, they could even beat. Next week, it's the Monkeys, or later this week. So we're having this really interesting spot where after a very tough season for them, very tough phase, they can now finally reap the rewards from all the practice they put in. And that's also the moment where they had to believe in that this moment would come at some point, because it's not easy when you just approach week after week after week, knowing that you're getting beaten down by Dignitas, by Team Liquid, or by someone else. So kudos to them.
We're about to find out exactly how resilient this team is. Game number 1 is ready. The Leftovers have elected to take us to Cursed Hollow, giving Roll20 the opportunity to potentially get Tyrande at the beginning of the draft.
One of the things that I actually find really interesting with the setup that we're seeing here is not so much that Curse is being played. It's actually the first time that Leftovers picked the map. They played here 6 times. They won 4 out of those 6 games. The Dragonshire ban is something I find interesting. Leftovers banned Dragonshire before. It's a map that they don't really like too much. And when they played on Dragonshire, they haven't won a map yet. But this is a map where you could have gambled a bit, because we all know that. Why did Fnatic never play Dragonshire? Because Quacknix doesn't like it. Why did all of a sudden Roll20 stop playing Dragonshire? Because Quacknix just doesn't like the map. Normally they ban it out. These days they usually let it through, but they still don't pick the map. It's something that they're more willing to play if need be. But this is one of those moments where in the Leftovers position, you could have gambled a little bit and ban out something else and just rely on Quacknix still not liking the map to the extent that he would actually pick it. Be it as it may, map bans are fine. Cursed Hollow kicks us off here. And I'm looking forward to this one. This should be a good one.
I like the points you bring up about Dragonshire and the relationship Roll20 has with it, because one of the cool things I got out of last week's interview with Quacknix is that he says, you know, if my team says, I want the garage, I give them the garage. So, like, he has the strong leadership role, but he's listening to the team, gathering their input. So I do think that one of those aspects is where Dragonshire has just been banned outright before. On this new roster, he has taken that input. Maybe the rest of the team feels better about that map. So it's just like, if we go to it, okay, but I don't want to ban it out anymore.
Yeah, they also had some trouble on other maps, so they started to shift around with it. But yeah, it's definitely, they're adjusting to each other. I mean, Quacknix was always, even on Fnatic, someone who didn't experiment as much as other drafters did. He was very much in that pocket. It worked also extremely well for him. But the one thing that, the guy still knows how to draft. And Tyrande accepted as a super early pick here. But with no ban on Abathur. Abathur is an immediate pickup here. This is actually, from a European perspective, very curious to see that Abathur was not banned, because Abathur on this map is nearly always a pick when let through, and that's what Leftovers do right away.
I get the logic behind banning out the Hanzo, especially with regards to the 2 bosses on this map, but I do think there would be something to be said for banning either Diablo or Abathur in lieu of the Maya, the strongest that hero is. Dealing with the Leftovers, Mopsio has one of the most terrifying Diablos I've ever seen in the entire world. So this is a huge vote of confidence for Roll20 to say, go ahead, we'll give you Abathur and Diablo potentially, because we're ready for it.
Yeah, what's worse than Mopsio on Diablo? Mopsio with an Abathur hat on Diablo. So yeah, pretty much that. At least they break the synergy with Diablo Urel Deckard and pick Urel for themselves. That's great for Zarmini. They have Tyrande. Muradin is still a solid pick for Roll20. Very likely that we're going to see that. Garrosh gets banned out against them, so Leftovers respecting that Roba-Doba on Garrosh is a lot stronger than he is on other heroes, as we've seen in the past. So that works, but you still want to have some Tyrande synergy, so the Muradin is a very likely pickup for them. And then we're going to see how they round the draft out. But yeah, Leftovers, what's it going to be for them? With Abathur picked, immediate DAB target on the ban here, making sure that he can't rely on Tracer with that setup.
I think there are a lot of options available to Leftovers. They have a number of really strong players you have to watch out for. If you're not giving Diablo to Mopsio, you're in about DAB getting any mage, pretty much. Blakitny is no slouch either. So there's always going to be something that you got to watch out for. Roll20 has to be aware of that. Phoenix, Karazim picked up in a 3-4. How do you think Roll20 wants to round this out?
I mean, at this point, first of all, just coming back to Karazim quickly. Karazim gets heightened value because of Abathur here. Abathur, it just allows for Karazim to go a lot deeper, increase the auto attack speed, and allows him to be very dangerous to Duranda in the backline. So as expected, and as talked about earlier, Muradin coming in as the tank, the synergy with Duranda is something that you're definitely looking for. You want to have that pre-stun, and Muradin was the best tank that was still available for them to round it out. And then, of course, we're oftentimes talking about that added burst damage, and that brings a mage into play. This is why Muradin and Duranda back in the days was played with Jaina so much. That's still something we can see today, but we have for now Li Ming taken, so that you can also get that reset potential on their end.
Not only is it strong for Roll20, it is a denial of sorts for leftovers, rounding things out with the Thrall. So Diablo is going to have a buddy on that front line. Who do you think is going to get cloned the most here? You think it's going to be Phoenix or maybe a double Thrall kind of setup?
You can even go for a double Diablo here. You can pull that off if you just want to ping-pong people around. It depends a bit on how they're trying to run the fights here. Normally with that, you would look at damage, but I mean, there's honestly a lot of tools of what you can use. Even a Karazim can be very dangerous if that jumps into the backline. But outside of that, the one point that I really want to highlight is that right now we're having, with the Thrall pick, them also with a lot of poke here available and really maybe targeting Muradin a little bit more. I could have seen them definitely with a different offlaner. Thrall is a hero that I don't mind in the slightest, but you already have the potential synergy with Lightning Breath and the Salvo. I'm gonna be curious to see how the Thrall plays, because Thrall is now that interesting setup where you have a lot of slows that with a Salvo on Phoenix, the hero could potentially like rely on the extra damage. Does that mean that Diablo has now the option of going into an Apocalypse, trying to play around a boss, or is it that Thrall goes into Sundering, which we're seeing a lot more, and attempts to look for the flank? Because if you get that Thrall flank off against Duranda or against Reyna, both of them are instantly in trouble. And if you synergize that well, you could even go into Sundering plus Apocalypse. That's something that we've seen actually in the days of old. So there's a couple of plays around level 10 where leftovers could mix it up.
We're about to find out. Game number 1 in this best of 5 is underway. Leftovers taking on Roll20 Esports. Over on the left side, we do have Mopsio and crew. He's going to be playing Diablo. Potoboss is on Thrall. Linked is playing Karazim. DAB is playing Phoenix. And we'll get you rounded out with the Worm Abathur.
And over to the right side of the map, we have a Roll20 with a Shad on Duranda and the full support. Quacknix playing the damage here with Li Ming. Some great showing on that hero recently. Chris playing Reyna with the auto attacks. Robadoba, of course, with the frontline Muradin. And Zarmany on Urel.
Something we haven't really talked about, Kaldor, is I'm really worried about the wave clear siege potential of Roll20 Esports. With Abathur potentially double soaking, there aren't really heroes like a Dahaka that can really be a threat to Abathur going out there to body soak. They don't have a ton of wave clear. So if they lose a team fight handily, they're going to fall behind so far in experience that even that alone, just based off composition, they can find themselves behind the curve.
Yeah, Curse can definitely also, of course, accelerate that a lot more if the objective works, but that's when all the wave there also comes into play here for them. Now with Duranda now being picked in the 4th game of the day for the 4th time as the first pick, you can really see how strong she currently is, or at least the perception of the team's offer. Celestial Attunement, again, as a level 1 choice here on the side of Shad, so the build hasn't really changed. Seen the same opening into the Duranda build now from 3 different players.
Nice rotation in, flank from Roll20, inspires the E key to be pressed by DAB. Ends up decision. Chris is going to push up the bot lane. Blakitney is there to catch all the soak and respond to the wave push. Roll20, they're being aggressive. They know that they need to try to get everything they can before level 10, and they have to worry about the clone.
Yeah, I'm really looking towards especially Diablo together with Symbiote here. I mean, we've been talking a lot about how many heroes on that lineup really benefit from Abathur being in that mix. But when you're looking towards Karazim, that's of course a fantastic target. You can jump into the backline a little bit more aggressively. It's fantastic at chasing if you want to go for Duranda, for Reyna, for Li Ming. But Diablo is so terrifying already in the hands of Mopsio. If you're on top of that, also add the Symbiote here, that is just a scary thought. And that's something where I want to see how much can leftovers, just with that combo alone, really make happen here.
Mopsio's eating a lot of damage, has the armor reduction, is going to be able to back away though. I do like the Feast on Fear talent, especially on this battleground. It's that much easier with these narrow corridors to get value off the Shadow Charge and the Overpower to follow up. Normally the health you get off of that is enough padding to get the first wave of damage, and then you just terrorize the backline.
Mopsio absolutely loves that talent. Like, the sustain that he gets through it is just fantastic. Level 4 quest talent coming in. The Frostwolf pack is coming in for Thrall here. We see that a lot against hit-point heavy tanks. Or, well, maybe not a lot, but we see a lot more now, especially after the Eastern Clash in Korea, where the Korean teams have showcased that against Diablo. Oftentimes with a level 16 synergy with the Alpha Wolf, but we have seen, especially on the side of Potibors, that he is still willing to spec into the Thunderstorm and just like get the synergy between his level 4 talent. If you go into that particular level 4 here for Thrall, then you have options on 16. Both of your talents that you are willing to take on 16 synergize either with your level 1, with the Egg of Elements, or with the Frostwolf pack on level 4. So he has options heading into the later stage here, but that cooldown reduction is great. And it also allows you to go on level 7, outside of the Ancestral Wrath, straight into the potential follow-through so that you get the extra damage after using the basic abilities.
Link potentially on the flank. It's spotted by Robodoba. DAB goes to charge it up, and Tyrande misses the Lunar Flare. There's the Shadow Charge from Mopsio. Zarmi steps in on the flank, looking at the back line, gets knocked back by Rainer. Link pushes back Robodoba. Nobody on the Tribute to come on with the first one of the game.
Yeah, Li Ming's still at the bot lane here, but Abathur's of course going to try and counter soak. But the interrupt attempt is still there, but nice move by Mopsio, pushing Robodoba out just as he was attempting to go for the Stormbolt. Nice move by him, and that secures Tribute number 1 for the Leftovers. Already completely stacked on the Egg of Elements. There's also a stack completed on the level 4, the Frostwolf pack. Potibos definitely doing well here in the early game.
Mopsio doing a solid job of keeping people in range of the tower shots with the overpowered Shadow Charge there on to Shad. So far, Roll20 ahead in experience over the Abathur comp. So the gamble of sending Li Ming down bottom and showing, taking away that offensive capability of the Tribute is paying off for them so far.
Also a few more things to talk about now that we have a level 7 in play. Now, first of all, he decided to not go into follow-through, but instead the Ancestral Wrath is still there. Gives him more sustain to Potibos and also allows him to get a bit more nuke damage against Mirrodin in the later stages, for sure. Another talent that's also pretty important in the setup. He has the level 4 for Tyrande. True Shot Aura. With Reina in the mix is actually an important one for them. Also, nice invade here onto the camp, but that is one where Leftovers might have bitten off a little bit more than they can chew. Link survives barely, and the camp goes over to Leftovers. Great invade. It was a clutch call, but it worked out in the end.
That was gutsy, and I feel like Roll20 was in a position where they could have gotten at least Link if they were more aggressive, but Leftovers showed that they know how to take risks and succeed with it also. Robodoba is not going to be able to get there in time. There is the Lunar Flare. A lot of damage goes on in Karazim afterwards. Quackman's trying to step forward with the Li Ming. This Tribute's still up for debate.
Yeah, Tribute is still up here, and this is something that Roll20 would really love to fight for. Potibos attempting to zone out Zarmany, and now that Link is starting in the channel, very unlikely that they can interrupt again. They're trying with the Owl. Mopsio eats it. Good job by him, but nice. Getting those missiles in from Li Ming, and Chris is now also getting another shot in against Link. But Zarmany is in trouble, barely gets out for now. The Wolf connects with 2, but Leftovers cannot secure the kill yet.
This is not looking that great for Roll20 because they do have Li Ming here for this team fight, and they didn't look any more lethal than they did the first go-round. And meanwhile, Abathur is going to be able to soak in that instance. Robodoba eats a good amount of damage. There's a Shadow Charge. Lunar Flare is right there from Shad to follow that up. Zarmi starts to back away. Diablo, less than 100 souls, no problem. He gets taken down, but it's a 1-for-2 trade in favor of Roll20, and they're looking for 3.
Yeah, make that 3 because Potibos gets just obliterated. Quacknix with the resets, going in, dropping 2, taking down Phoenix and Thrall, and that's Roll20. Securing a Tribute that, in all honesty, I already thought Leftovers would take. We had Urel solo, and Zarmany was willing to go back in and open up an opportunity to get kills for Roll20 while sacrificing himself. Great kills here for Roll20. And again, keep in mind what we said earlier. This is a series where if Roll20 takes this, they're not out of the Crucible just yet, but if they actually win against Leftovers, their chances to make it out of the Crucible would all of a sudden be astronomical, where Granite Gaming would be extremely worried, because that would mean that even with the victory over method, just as an example this weekend, Granite Gaming would still not be secure to move out of Crucible range. So for Roll20, this is a fantastic starting game.
And Roll20 is playing like a team that we have not yet seen in their final form. Like you said, going into this match, they continue to prove each week. For them to put up this much of a fight against Leftovers, to get the heroics first, force out any kind of defensive posture from a team that looked dynamite over the Western Clash and beyond, this is another new potential top contender for the upper half of the standings.
Right now, Roll20, they have the level 10s, but they couldn't really do a lot with the slight advantage that they had here. Now, we talked a bit about Horoga choices on level 10, and we have not seen any of the stun combos that could have come out of Leftovers. Instead, they go for the more traditional Earthquake plus Lightning Breath. So really looking for those slow synergies with Phoenix. Tribute spawns on the side of Leftovers. They zone really well. Link has an easy time channeling that. And also, by the way, if one of the things that you can take away for your own games when you're playing Hero League, any other mode, make sure that if you're playing on Cursed Hollow, the hero that normally looks for the channel is the support. You normally want to have your support here. If you get interrupted, that's when you use your cooldowns real quickly, and then you go back in. But make always sure that you zone and that the support then starts the channel on it.
There's a Lightning Breath, forces back Zarmany and Robodobo, who tried to jump in, missed the Storm Bolt, so that was the green light for Leftovers to just hang out a bit more, go through the top, or the mid lane wall with that camp that they retrieve. One more tribute away from getting a curse on the Roll20 is Leftovers. There's the overpower. Mopsio looking to get aggressive. There's the Lunar Flare. Earthquake goes down. Leftovers, they're committed.
Yeah, everything that they have is being thrown out here, but Poryboss is low and needs to be very careful. The Reyna's Radar actually chasing him a little bit. This is not over. Look at Blink Hitney. He's losing the copy already. And with the copy gone and all of the cooldowns burned, all of a sudden we're seeing Mopsio in trouble too. There comes the Tyrande with the extra damage. Hunter's Mark is in. That's kill number 1. Link is also low, trying to jump away here. Barely gets out. But they are not out of it just yet, since we have kill number 2 come in. The resets are ready, and that's Roll20 taking the double kill and the tribute.
Tyrande proven again to be a problem. Roll20 said pretty much get Chad on with their lowered armor on the Diablo. 100 souls reset thanks to that team fight.
The owl.
When you try to shadow charge in with that Tyrande on the other side, you gotta make sure you're getting what you're looking for.
The owl spots the Leftovers. Roll20 doesn't make the rotation since they're currently busy with their own boss at the top, so they can get this one up. But the situation for Roll20 is right now fantastic. 5 kills to 1, taking the boss there early. Leftovers still doing everything they can to make sure they're staying in this game. They're not too far behind just yet. But it's impressive to see Roll20 in that spot in the first place, because this is a situation that we have rarely seen them in throughout the entirety of Phase 2.
I mean, anyone that's watched HGC Europe over the course of even just the second half of the year, you look at the matches that we have for today, and you're like, all right, that's going to be a 3-0, and that's going to be a 3-0. Roll20, for them to show up this strong, to have a lead in experience, to put so much pressure on the Leftovers, if they win this, that's going to shake so many different things up.
Yeah, we had so many cool storylines already in Europe this phase, and people that only look at scores or like the match scores missed out on a lot. There are so many things still happening, even now heading into the last 2 play days. Boss to the top lane, now to the bottom of the map. We're having a nice push from Leftovers, but there's the curse. And that gives a lot of value to Roll20 as they are pushing through the top lane and now also aggressively go for the bottom. The attempt to lock down Phoenix, but DAB warps out in time.
The value of the boss that Roll20 has goes through the roof with this curse. This feels markedly different from the first series, Caldor. When we were on Sky Temple, I was like, okay, they're both even right now. But then we saw Monkeys fall behind. Roll20 was like, oh, they're even right now. And now they're getting ahead. They are playing a much more dominant game than I think many people expect.
What do they get out of the curse? So that's the question. The top lane is being defended. Mid lane is soon going to fall. At least the 4th day is, but at the bottom of the map they open up the keep. So they're trying to take as many structures as they can. At the bot lane, the minions are just now starting to move through, so they can eliminate the fort on the way back. But there's mid lane pressure right now, there's still top lane pressure, and at the bottom of the map for another 15 seconds. They might not be able to get a keep here, but they're going to get damage on all 3 lanes onto the inner structures.
I like this play a lot. I mean, the bottom 4 is pretty much a foregone conclusion anyway. Even if you have to retreat from that, that's an auto attack or 2 away. You don't have to worry about the slowdown or the tower shots. Roll20, their macro decisions, they're playing a step or 2 ahead in what the average team would try to do. They came into this matchup ready to go.
Tyrande, there's the Stormbolt. Ah, nice setup here against Mopsio. He's still alive though, and they're turning it around with the Lightning Breath, trying to look for the kill here. But I like the attempt. This is exactly what Roll20 needs to do. You wait for your chance, you look for the Stormbolt. Tyrande was actually nearly a little bit late there on the follow-up with the damage, and I don't think she was in Hunter's Mark range at the beginning. That could have been potentially, with better execution, even been a kill against Mopsio on his Diablo. But no matter how it ended, it showed again the aggressive rotations from Roll20. Them being in that spot in the first place was just great calls there from Quacknix, and this is exactly what he did for Fnatic in the past. And now they flow more and more every week as a team.
I also like that Zarmany didn't skip leg day this week. Last week we saw him try to jump over a wall. Not too much success. He is able to escape this time though. It saves the takedown, and a level 16 advantage is around the corner with this tower getting taken down. Leftovers. I know they went into this match with a lot of confidence, but I'm not sure they thought they'd be dealing with a team like this.
The composition is really great for Roll20. It's the Murden Tyrande setup with Li Ming's burst damage, and that really works out. Now Roll20 has also postured aggressively after they hit the level 16 power spike, trying to make sure that they are just showing, first of all, Leftovers who's boss on the map, and second of all, get some advantages out of this. It's all about map control right now, trying to control the lanes, trying to control the map here. Leftovers still hold on to the keeps, and that's really the important part. It's a team that has grown over the entirety of the year, and they know what it feels like and how you have to run a game when you're behind. So they're just going to sit tight, wait for 16, and say, boys, we have 2 tributes right now. If we get another one, it's going to be cursed. We wait for 16, we go in. All we have to do here is win a team fight. That's all we have to do.
Yeah, there's plenty of turnaround potential for Leftovers. Now that they do have 16, they might even try to make a stand over this one if they rotate down soon enough. I think that might be something of a gamble because they would have to rush in. Robodova and the crew are waiting for them. We already see people set up in the bush. But Mopsio's going to lead the charge. One way or the other, they're looking to get their first curse of the game.
And Robodova is looking for that Stormbolt. There it is. Tyrande follow up a bit too late, but already the cleansing touch comes in, and that's a massive advantage now for Leftovers. Likidny gets burned down, so the Abathar Kobe is gone, but here's the 7-sided strike.
7-sided strike goes in. Arn Defender keeps Zarmany's bacon afloat. Chris is just hanging out on the flank. There's another nice lunar flare from Tyrande. Al goes out. Mopsio's going to mount up, have the added sustain from Link. They're turning back in, but Quacknix is already, or Zarmany is already half out.
Quacknix was actually nearly dead. Like, he barely survived here with the last move out. The 16 talents also gave all the synergy with the Alpha Wolf and his level 4. But here comes the aggression again. Mopsio needs to be careful, and he goes down as Urel moves in for the kill. The resets for Li Ming, and the double kill as Quacknix goes for Brawl.
Time and time again, you lose one hero, you're apt to lose another if you're playing against Li Ming. Roll20, they put their foot on the pedal after blowing up a Diablo with less than 100 souls. 2 takedowns and the tribute. They immediately rotated over to the tribute and the boss.
Yeah.
Roll20, they are looking solid right now.
No hesitation. None. The second 2 heroes are dead, immediately the boss gets taken, and they're not making the rotation topside to try and get the double boss. With a wave and the Siege Giant camp, there's a double wave, a Siege Giant camp, and a boss. This could literally be game. You will get the keep 100%, but with this setup, you're going to look for a kill. You're going to try and see, can we get a kill here? And if yes, you go for core.
Eyes are on DAB. If he gets the right purification salvo, it could force Roll20 back. But if someone gets caught out of position, Mopsio still doesn't have 100 souls. 92, pretty close. If he shadow charges it and dies, that's the full weight. Come back. Kidney steps forward on the clone. Shadow charge goes in. There's a stun right on the Diablo afterwards. Lowered armor forces him back. Zarmany's going to deal with the front line pressure also, but he's jumping in. Are they really going for core here?
If they can. They definitely have the tools here, but they lose Tyrande, and that's a massive problem. Diablo going down as well is an issue, though. But here come the resets, and this is once again time for Li Ming to shine. Linked barely getting out of there, not falling. That's huge. That would allow Leftovers to stay in this.
Roll20 needed that takedown. They need the takedown charism if they want to close this game out now. Even just losing one hero and getting this much damage onto the core itself is a win for Roll20, but there was so much more on the table. Heads-up positioning from Leftovers keeps them in this game.
2 big important things. If Diablo isn't fully stacked on his souls here, they lose. But Diablo gave up the souls, sacrificed himself once, and is back in the fight immediately. Defender's advantage. Same time, Link not falling was also huge for them. And now it's very likely even going to be a curse, because we still have 10 seconds until Randa is back. So they might have to accept that curse here. Now, what does that mean? Defend the mid lane, defend your keeps, and you are okay. You are a level ahead. This is all about Leftovers trying to get back into this. But losing the bottom keep was really big for Leftovers, and of course the advantage that Roll20 now gets through those catapults and moves through the bot lane.
I think this is going to give us a lot of insight to how much Roll20 as a team has matured. If they are not aggressive, if they just wait this curse out, they're going to be in an amazing position. But if they go for a team fight here, and so far it does look like they're taking a more conservative mindset, if they lost heroes right there at the keep wall, that could have potentially been game there. So I think a few weeks ago, Roll20 would have tried to make a play there. I like that they're evolving.
I mean, you are in a situation where if your opponent oversteps a little bit, you can make a quick decision to go for a kill. Stormbolt into Toronto stun, Hunter's Mark, and then Li Ming going in. It's definitely possible, especially since you know that you just killed Mopsio, so he's low in souls. But defense is everything. And the camp that has been taken is now out pushing the bot lane, so the mid lane. That's huge. Mid lane is something that is going to be taken care of. You defend at the top. Abathar is coming in as the aspect now at the bottom of the map though, but here comes the engage as Leftovers are actually being assailed here. Roll20, the counterattack is coming through, but Mopsio is down.
Diablo gets taken down, less than 100 souls. There's the unstoppable on the thrall. Blakitny loses the clone. Robodoba jumps forward. Zarmi's already mounted up. He's looking to go. He finds the stun on the DAB. Do you have your teleport, buddy? He just jukes the orb from Quackness, but with the isolation, purification salvo or not, that is another takedown for Roll20, and that boss is available.
Divine Steed value for Roll20. Urel able to mount up instantly and going straight in. Double kill now as the warp was used earlier, and they are starting the rotation. They are starting to move in here. They have 2 heroes down, and they say, okay, we can actually end this. Keep would maybe be the safer option. I would actually like the keep choice here, but considering that's only 68% on the core, and you have 2 heroes down for 15 seconds, you can totally make that play. That should be an easy game 1 for Roll20. As they move in, there's the kill, down goes Karazim. Goodbye, my friend. And it's Thrall that dies next. Roll20 with a fantastic game on Cursed Hollow takes down the Leftovers. Roll20 coming in swinging and setting themselves ahead in a series where they were clearly heading in as the underdog.
So many people going into this matchup thought that this would be a straightforward 3-0 in favor of Leftovers. Roll20 are turning those Resident Sleepers into PogChamps. I did not think that they would show up in that fashion to start this series off. Quacknix with the cooldown resets on Li Ming, dangerous to say the least.
There's also another aspect that already becomes super important here, and that's if Granite Gaming and Roll20 end up being on the same match score, the map score matters, because in the direct comparison, both of them won a series. And the interesting part is that this map could, even if Roll20 now loses, could be the deciding factor of who advances or who has to go to the Crucible and who doesn't, depending on the outcome of the matches. Of course, it's already thinking to the next potential level here, but still, Roll20, even outside of a potential match win that we're looking at right now, that map already is so incredibly important. It's great for them. And there's a question now, how do you adjust when you are Leftovers? Was Toronto the problem? Do you give that up? Are you willing to sacrifice your Diablo? That was a very early pick in favor of Toronto the next time. Was it the Abathar maybe? So drafting is going to become an issue right now. But I love that we have more and more synergy on the side of Roll20. And thank God for the calls that we had this game. Far cry away from what happened on Tomb of the Spider Queen last week, which I mean, my curse words in English are actually not really adequate to describe what happened there. It was a disaster. But that's what we're talking about. If you talk about Quacknix, that's what you want to see. Someone who understands immediately, okay, we go for core right here. Even the call at the bot lane, that could have been core. Yeah. If not for Diablo reset coming back into it and Link barely escaping, that's core, that's game right there. That's Quacknix, that's what he delivered for Fnatic. That's what people were looking for when he joined over to Roll20. Now we have exactly that. Show that in the next few games, and even if Leftovers take it, it won't be easy for them by any means. This is the Roll20 that people expected when they heard about the lineup.
At the very least, that's proof of concept that this team can perform against the upper echelon of EU. You asked where some of the changes could be for Leftovers. I actually feel like Roll20 did an amazing job shutting down the Diablo. So many times we see Mopsio shadow charge in, and he just melts somebody, especially with the devastating charge at level 13. That never happened in this game. And then Blakitny, whenever the clone came down, that was taken out sooner rather than later. So with those two things limited on the side of Leftovers, I really have to give
Yeah.
props to Roll20 to be able to do that.
Toronto definitely was a game changer here because if you're Mopsion, you're used to just like go in, survive through all of that, and just first of all have self-sustain and then also survivability. We even talked about the Abathur's symbiote on top of him. But now you're faced off with the Hunter's Mark of Toronto and the double stun coming in and the focus onto you. And all of a sudden you realize, I'm not unkillable anymore. I can actually die. So especially since he didn't have a soul shield, he went for the Feast on Fear on level 1 to have that sustain, and it makes perfect sense for the map. But of course, then you have Quacknix against you. And he is going to land those combos with Li Ming. And Quacknix is lately popping off on that hero. He's really bringing the pain. And that definitely threw leftovers. I mean, it's a cool start in the series. Leftovers are going to come back angry. I'm pretty sure about that. But we might have a very, very cool series here ahead of us now.